Sean Salisbury with Syracuse head coach Dino Babers ahead of a primetime matchup against Clemson at home. But, Coach, you got back in the win column 6 days ago against Pittsburgh. How good was it to get your third win of the season?
You know, I was happy for the kids. They've really put out some really good, strong performances the last week, and to not get a W, kind of is not good. But to come back and get a win versus Pitt, our rival, and now be back at 3-3 with the second half of the season to go, we're really excited.
And part of that, you could say, was the emergence of a couple of new guys on offense. Ravion Pierce, 9 receptions, 99 yards. When you get your tight end involved in the passing game, what does that open up for other guys?
Well, it opens up the wideouts on the edges. When you've got a strong presence in the middle, just like a basketball game, you have a dominant center in the middle of the court sitting in the paint. It really opens up those threes on the outside. It's no different on a football field. When you've got guys navigating the interior part of the defense through the air, it opens up the edges and the deep outside areas for the outside receivers. And we got some receivers that can attack those areas.
And what about Dante Strickland? 25 carries, 80 yards, and I know you said after the game it's not about those 20, 25-yard runs. It's being able to take those hits and wear down a defense. Well, what'd you see out of him?
I just saw a determination about him. He came back in the second half, and he really started running extremely hard. And I'm looking at him. Sometimes those were 1-yard holes. He's getting 3. Sometimes they're 2-yard holes. He's getting 4. And just not going down after the first contact, battling and driving his legs all the way to the end. And when someone's going to be that determined, it's easy to turn around and hand him the ball again based off of his previous run.
And I don't want to take anything away from your defense because you had guys on that side of the field step up too. Rodney Williams replaced Evan Foster in the secondary, and even Alton Robinson, making his 4th consecutive start, forced a fumble and knocked out Pittsburgh's starting quarterback. How has that unit continued to grow and impress you now through 6 games?
Well, like Alton, this is his first 6 games of college football. We're just now are taking the training wheels off of him. So he's still learning how to play. As those guys develop and they get older and older, we'll get better. We have some depth there, but we're still got injuries with Coleman being out and Black being out. We need to get those guys back so we can spell those guys more so they can play a lot fresher.
Halfway through the season now, you're 3-3. What kind of progress have you seen so far in year 2?
Just the mental toughness part of it. I think this team is a lot mentally tougher than the other team. Our record may not show that, but this is a very solid football team. I think the seniors are doing an outstanding job in leading this team, and they have 6 more opportunities to lead, and if we do a really, really good job, we'll get an opportunity for a 7th more.
And speaking of mental toughness, you're going to need some tonight, Coach. The number 2 team in the country comes into Central New York. What do you remember about Clemson from last year, if anything?
I remember we didn't score any, and they scored a whole bunch. They're big, they're fast, they're well coached, and they're determined. Their goal is to get back and get another national champion. You're talking about the national champs from last year, and until someone beats them, they're still our national champs. So ACC Atlantic, tough conference, best team in the ACC Atlantic at our place.
And Kelly Bryant, the starting quarterback, not the one you saw in Deshaun Watson a season ago, but still, Bryant left the Wake Forest game last week. Does that change your defensive game plan at all to bring a little bit more pressure on a guy who might have an ankle injury?
We're going to do what we need to do. It's hard enough to stop those guys as it is, but whether he plays or whether the backup plays, both of their quarterbacks are outstanding. I think it's more important who the other 21 guys are. The other 10 that play on offense with the quarterback and those 11 guys on defense might be a little bit more important than who's underneath the center.
It's college football. It's Friday night. Your team's at home. What does this kind of atmosphere, what does this challenge represent for you and your program now, Game 7, Year 2?
I hope that it's going to be a challenge for Clemson. I hope the loud house is rocking. I hope that their offense has trouble communicating to help our defense. I think the battles between can our defense stop their offense, because I think those are the 2 best units. And then we're going to have to try to find some way, because their defense is good, to try to find a way to squeeze some points out of it. Hopefully we can get points out of the special teams, or maybe get a pick 6 or something on defense to help us in the scoring column.
And your offense has gotten off to a couple of slow starts over the past few weeks. Is there any game plan to maybe use a couple of trick plays or try to go a little unconventional against such a great Clemson team to get going early?
No, we're going to try to do the things that we do, and hopefully we can execute better when you're playing guys that are bigger, faster, taller. taller than you. You need to know where you're going. So the more new stuff you use, the guys normally get confused. Confusion leads to errors. Errors lead to turnovers. Turnovers leads to losses. So our goal is to try to play a clean game.
And last question for you, Coach. You had a great answer last year, but I have to ask you, what's the key for your team to make this a ball game going into the fourth quarter?
Keep it close. I mean, we don't have to be ahead at halftime, but it has to be a game at halftime. And in the fourth quarter, we have to be within a touchdown. We have to be within a score. And with 5 minutes left, if we've got an opportunity to win, we'll be exactly where we need to be.
Appreciate the time as always, Coach. Thank you and good luck tonight.
Thank you, Sean.